I have a question for both. We to that point?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
What do each of you think is the biggest problem with how town council, with an issue, biggest problem with Blacksburg that you would be able to fix on town council, and what do you plan to do about it? So
your question basically
going first.
Yeah. Current problems that we think we can do something about when we get on council. I'd like to say basically this. I think generally the council's been doing a pretty good job in the last couple of years. Before the 2006 election, I think there was a perception that the council sort of had all of the decisions were made in advance, so that when citizens came before the council to talk and air their views about things, it was basically just a formality. And the perception was that a lot of decisions had already been made behind closed doors, or deals had been made with developers or with other folks. I think a lot of that has changed. I think part of it is perception, but I think there was a certain part of it that's reality. I think the council that's currently there right now has made some big steps towards open and accountable government. There's been some mistakes made in the past, like the rezoning of that rugby field for the developers who asked for a rezoning based on a certain plan that they showed. The town agreed to rezone it for them, and then they came back with a different plan for a big super Walmart center. People were not happy about that, and I think rightfully so. I think a lot of that has been accommodated in the change that the new council represents. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is making sure that the democratic system works cleanly and fairly for everyone, and that the new people that get on the new council, the 3 open positions and the 1 incumbent running, that they are feel strongly about making sure that people understand the decisions that are being made and that they listen to folks. So that's one thing I think that I can contribute to, is making sure that council is accountable to the local citizenry. I think there's probably other things like affordable housing we need to deal with, make sure that people that live here can afford the housing. Housing has gone up a lot since I bought my house in 1988. I bought a small house in the old 16 squares for about $55,000 in 1988, and that now you can't find anything like that. And so we need to be able to have opportunities for people, young professionals. You know, when I bought that house, it was me, my wife, and a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And people need opportunities like that. They want to live in Blacksburg. They want to go to school. These graduate students, they want to be able to walk and have livable, walkable communities. And if the price range of housing is out of their league, they're not going to be able to do that. So that's something I think we can really work towards.
Yeah, I agree with what John said, and I'll add to it. As far as the First and Main rezoning goes, I don't know if how much you guys know about that, but the developer came and presented a plan with all these beautiful pictures on it and said, this is what I want to build, but I need all commercial zoning. They needed the whole thing rezoned commercial to do what they wanted to do. And this was property that part was commercial and part was our lowest density residential, which is R4. And a similar thing happened when I was on the planning commission. We were by the same developer, beautiful pictures made by some guy in California. We're going to do all these lovely things, but we need this zoning on this humongous piece of land. And I kept looking at it and saying, these are just pretty pictures. They're just pretty pictures. I want to know what's proffered. I want to know what you're going to build. And I kept telling all the commissioners, everybody I could tell, we haven't gotten a firm plan here. And basically no one was listening to me, and we got down to the vote on the commission, and I was the only no vote on this proposal. And so I went home very distraught and decided I wasn't done. So I wrote a huge email to the council telling them all the reasons why I voted it down. And I'd done a lot of research and done my homework on it. And I sent that to the council, and then I went and spoke at the council meeting, and the council voted it down with 1 yes vote. So it was the complete opposite of what the Planning Commission had done. They voted it down, except for the Mayor Hedgepath at the time voted for it. So that was a wonderful feeling of empowerment to me. I thought, you know what, I really can make a difference. So that's the kind of thing I feel like I can lend to town council. I feel like if I was here when that rezoning happened, I could have at least let people know what was coming. So there's another sort of perception around town that Blacksburg is not friendly to businesses. I don't know if you guys ever hear that. Business people like to say it. And I think there's some truth to it. I don't think Blacksburg is patently unfriendly to business, but I think there is some truth to it, and I would like to set a tone on council that would sort of filter down to the town manager and the town staff that we are here to serve our customers, whether they're homeowners, business owners. We are here
Students.
Yes, students. Anybody who walks through town hall doors should get treated with respect and get their permits turned around and be able to do their work and make money and pay their employees. So I do think we need to work on that. So I mean, that's something I like to work on.
I can't like to add just a few things to that. I think one thing people like Cecile and I can do when we're on council is we have other redevelopment issues and zoning issues. We can demand that if a developer wants a certain thing, that the drawings and concept drawings or schematic plans they show are things that they're going to abide by. We can bind them to that, so there's no more bait and switch between what a developer says and the huge range of development that can happen in the zoning change. I think we can make that change. I think there'll be enough support for that. So I think those are some differences we can make. We hear people talking about that. I also want to just comment briefly on the perception that some people talk about Blacksburg being unfriendly to business. I've been here for 25 years, and you cannot believe how it's changed just in that 25 years. I don't really see it that way. I mean, I see new businesses coming all the time. I see the work that's being done out at University Mall Boulevard. That's completely different than it was just a few years ago. The First and Main project is something that I think is new within the last couple of years. That's completely new development, new businesses in that area. Downtown is changing. We're having new businesses down there. Some stuff has moved out, some stuff's coming back. When they built the big malls out in Christiansburg, that really killed the downtown for a while, but you're starting to see it rebound now. And I think there's real progress being made and real revitalization that's happening that's going to continue to happen.
What would y'all like to see done with the property that the old middle school is on? Is it a middle school?
The one on Main Street?
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know how deeply you guys understand this. That property is owned by the county. Our schools here are run by the county. So we have a county school system that has properties within our town. So the town government can't actually do anything with that property unless we were to own it. So my hope is that we can make a reasonable offer to the county and buy the property. And from there, well, a few years ago we had a committee formed and it was between the town, the county, the schools, and they were all looking into what's the best use for this property and for the town and the community. And they had a design competition planned. Some architecture professors at Tech had planned a professional architecture competition. And it was a binding competition. So whoever won the competition is what would get built there. And this was underway, and the county put a stop to it because all of a sudden they weren't sure they wanted to sell it. So I would like to see that process pick back up. I'd like to see the competition happen, and I'd like to see the community give input on what should happen there. I'm open to all kinds of suggestions, but I want to see the best thing for Blacksburg happen on that property.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's key and critical that Blacksburg obtain that property. We should be able to have a say in what happens on that property. There's nothing that I think would be more detrimental to us as citizens and our concept of what our town is and our downtown is if other people control what happens there and develop it in ways that, you know, neighborhoods right next to it, adjacent to it, like the one I live in, or the one on Eakin Street to the south, don't have any say in that. The public hearing process is critical to get input from folks about what they want to see happen there. There's plenty of possibilities, but the first thing is we need to obtain it. The county will want to sell it for as much as is possible so that they can use that money for other schools and other